Happy Thursday, Houston. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Kim Castro. I'm going to start you off with a check at the tropics because we hit the peak of hurricane season yesterday and now we're on the back end. So you might be thinking, it's been fairly quiet. Yes, to start off the hurricane season. Now, historically speaking, you'll notice things ramp up towards the peak of hurricane season, but behind it, there's a bigger stretch where there's more activity historically speaking. So you'll notice the upslope is a little bit more condensed than the downslope. That has a bigger probability of seeing more development. And we do have an update that shows we're expecting development over the next 7 days. The National Hurricane Center keeping an eye on a cluster of storms that's still in the continent of Africa, expected to come off that coastline by tomorrow. They're giving it a 30% chance probability that that develops in the central Atlantic in this little region right here. So I'm turning on the vorticity tracker to see what the models are thinking that this cluster of storms is going to do. So again, coming off the west coast of Africa tomorrow. And then it does show some organization and intensity by the middle of the coming week. So we're looking at Wednesday the 17th. I'll keep it going. Of course, things are going to change, so make sure you keep updated on this daily. But this particular model run has it taking that northerly turn, which would be a good thing because so far as it comes off the west coast of Africa, it tracks west. And then it might take that turn north away from the continental U.S. Something else to note, this model has yet another wave coming off the west coast of Africa by the end of next weekend. So that would certainly support more activity starting to flourish by the end of the month, which is typical for this time of year. So you'll notice high likelihood for development for the MDR, the main development region coming off of the west coast. Looking at this big high development zone near Cape Verde, and you'll notice there's another high development zone. This is for the Pacific side, but systems that develop along this region typically spit out moisture that comes into Texas anyway. Not to mention, this is the gyre that we track this time of year as well. It's basically this big area of cyclonic rotation that can spit up and spin up some systems. Notice that the southern portion of the Gulf is one of those regions that we have to monitor as well. So we'll definitely keep an eye on things as we go towards the end of September and even into October. There have been lots of systems that develop in October as well. Right now, the Gulf, not as beautiful as it's been the last couple of days. We've been tracking some clear skies, sunshine, and now we're seeing some thicker clouds developing and even some downpours. So we're tracking some showers along the coastline. We've had a few of them over the last few hours. You'll notice Galveston right now is dry, but there's the little area that is going to see some rain. That's just the push of the Gulf breeze. So the return of the wind coming in out of the east or southeast is what's bringing in the humidity, yes, which we all feel, and some of us even some scattered downpours. So shower activity right now, mainly pushing from Matagorda to Brazoria, South Baytown to Sweeney, up 288. There's some showers in Manville. And then along the I-10 corridor, we're going to start to see some of these showers move in a little bit closer to you. Right now, they're in Mission Bend on Bissonnette Street. And then here's a wider view of the loop in the Beltway. Most of the area is nice and clear, but you do run the risk of a couple of these isolated showers here for the next few hours. So this is what it looks like on FutureTrack. That's a snapshot at 3. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a few isolated showers if you are commuting early. Maybe you're done at the office and you want to pack it up by 3. If you do so, just know that you might encounter a little brief downpour. I know that that's different from what we've seen this week, certainly, but by the time most of us are commuting home 5 o'clock, things are nice and dry. Tomorrow, I think the rain chance is so insignificant that I'm not even putting it in the 7-day. And then Saturday is pretty similar, but maybe there's just a little bit more energy in the atmosphere. That does bring us about a 10% chance for an isolated shower. Live look right now from our camera at Hotel Zaza. So we're looking out towards Herman Park, the Med Center. It is a nice day, but it is definitely a much warmer day. So Air temperature wise, we're up by 3 degrees at Bush right now. It's 89 degrees, but I can't ignore the dew points. So remember, over the last few days, they were in the 50s. And then yesterday started to get a little bit stickier, so we saw the dew points climb up into the 70s. Now, into the 60s. Now we're in the 70s. And so because of that added humidity, it's going to feel, about 8 to 10 degrees warmer than the actual air temperature reflects. Dew points are going to stay in the 70s, that tropical feel, into tomorrow. So it's definitely a sticky next few days. If you're planning outdoor exercises, just know that they are going to be a little bit harder today into tomorrow. This weekend, there's plenty of humidity still around, but the dew points will come down just a little bit, so upper 60s won't be as bad as the mid 70s. Here's the air temperature versus the heat index, what it feels like on your skin across the area. So in Conroe, 89 degrees, right now feels like 98. In Sugar Land, 90 degrees. Feels like 99. You'll notice those air temperatures, like I said, about 8 to 10 degrees above what the air temperature reflects. So it definitely has a heat index value that we have to consider for this afternoon into the next. High temperature today makes it up to 93 degrees. You'll notice that your high makes it right around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think most of us are under mostly sunny skies. And then for this evening, you'll be nice and mild. Mild in the sense that you're going to be down into the 80s by 8 o'clock in the evening and then trickling down into the 70s during the overnight hours. The good thing with the added moisture is that we are starting to see the pollen levels come down a little bit. They were sky high in the weeds and the mold category yesterday. Today, they've dropped down to the moderate range. Notice grasses are in the moderate range as well, and tree pollen is nice and low. So at least there's that silver lining. Okay, remember 20% chance for an isolated shower here over the next 2 to 3 hours. That's it. 93 is your high temperature today. That is going to be the coolest high temperature that we see over the next 7, which, by the way, is above average. This time of year, we should be maxing out at 91. We're going to get closer towards the upper 90s by the middle of next week. So looks like summer is trying to hold on for dear life. We had that false fall for the start of the week, but now temperatures and humidity are both back. An isolated shower chance is possible again for our Saturday afternoon, and then we take a break. We're not going to see the return of that sea breeze shower potential until the middle of next week. All right, our next newscast is with meteorologist Chris Ramirez at 4 o'clock, and then our chief meteorologist David Paul will walk you through any updates at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. Have a wonderful Thursday.